Ramdev in all your queries.
Well, as battleground Gujarat heats up, there's one leader who's turning out to be a wild card entry. We're talking about Patidar leader young Hardik Patel, who's kept everyone guessing so far, and we have him speaking with Bloomberg Quint. Hardik भाई, बहुत-बहुत शुक्रिया हमसे बात करने के लिए. पहले तो ये बताएं, क्या आपने मन बनाया, क्या आप कौन सी पार्टी का साथ देंगे?
देखो, मेरी लड़ाई संविधान के आधार पर समुदाय को फायदा होने के लिए लड़ रहा हूँ. मैं अधिकारों की लड़ाई लड़ रहा हूँ, जहाँ पर किसानों का हो, यूथ का हो, महिलाओं का हो और समुदाय का हो. जो पार्टी हमारे इन मुद्दों के साथ सहमत होगी, जो हमें समर्थन करेगी, मैं उनके साथ जाऊंगा. और मैंने स्पष्ट कहा है कि मैं अगले 2.5 साल तक किसी भी पार्टी को ज्वाइन नहीं करने वाला. सिर्फ मैं जनता के हितों की बात करने वाला हूँ और जनता का एजेंट बना हुआ हूँ.
क्या आपकी राहुल गांधी से बात हुई है, मुलाकात हुई है? आपने कुछ शर्तें रखी थी कांग्रेस पार्टी के लिए?
नो, ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है. हमारी स्पष्ट बात थी, जो आरक्षण वाला मुद्दा, अगर उस मुद्दे पर जल्द से जल्द अगर कांग्रेस पार्टी अपना स्टैंड क्लियर करती है तो बिल्कुल मैं राहुल जी से मिलूंगा. ये बात क्लियर थी, लेकिन अभी तक कोई बातचीत हुई नहीं. तो मैं राहुल जी से मिलने के लिए जो पूरा प्लान है वो अभी तक क्लियर नहीं हुआ. लेकिन अगर 2-3 दिन में शायद टेक्निकली मुद्दों के साथ संवैधानिक आरक्षण कैसे मिला जा सकता है, उस मुद्दे पर बातचीत हो जाएगी. तो बिल्कुल आने वाले टाइम पर मैं राहुल जी से मिलूंगा.
आपने एक डेडलाइन दी थी 3 तारीख की, कि अगर तब तक आपने 3 तारीख की डेडलाइन दी थी. राहुल गांधी का रैली है सूरत में, और आज जो हुआ तब तक आपने ट्विटर पर एक डेडलाइन दी थी कि तब तक वो अपना मन साफ कर ले. क्या उन्होंने मन साफ किया है? क्या कांग्रेस पार्टी की तरफ से कुछ अभी साफ निकल कर आया है कि वो आरक्षण की बात मान रहे हैं या नहीं?
देखो, 5 मुद्दा जो हमारा था, उसमें 4 मुद्दों पर तो कांग्रेस पार्टी ने सहमति दिखाई दी. एक मुद्दा जो बाकी था उस पर कम से कम मैं मान लो ना कि 2 दिन में क्लियर किया. सुनो, 6 तारीख को मुलाकात है टेक्निकली मुद्दों के साथ. क्या
आप इन प्रिंसिपल मूल बातों पर समर्थन देने को तैयार है? क्योंकि मैं आपके कोट पढ़ रही हूँ आप आज, जहां आप कह रहे हैं कि हमने कहा है कि बीजेपी को वोट मत दीजिए, मेरे समर्थक समझ जाएंगे कि किसको वोट देना है. तो कुल मिलाकर तो आपने कांग्रेस पार्टी को समर्थन दे ही दिया है.
नहीं, ये ऐसे थोड़ी ना होता है. जनता को कभी मैं आदेश नहीं दे सकता. हार्दिक पटेल कोई खुद बना हुआ आदमी नहीं है, जनता ने बनाया है. तो जनता तय करेगी मुझे क्या करना है. जनता खुद फैसला करेगी कि जनता अपना अधिकार कहाँ देखती है. जनता पर आप दोष नहीं जमा सकते कि आपको यही करना है. जनता सब कुछ समझती है और जनता सब कुछ अच्छी तरह से करेगी.
जो कुछ और पाटीदार समाज के नेता हैं वो कहते हैं कि इतने सारे लोग आपके साथ एक्चुअली हैं नहीं, और अब आप अपनी ही बात कर रहे हैं. आप सारे जो पाटीदार हैं उनके प्रतिनिधि नहीं रहे. आपका क्या कहना है इस
बात है? उसमें कोई दिक्कत वाला मामला नहीं है. मैं नहीं हूँ तो नहीं हूँ, ऐसा लोगों को लगता है. तो उनकी सोच को मैं कैसे बदल सकता हूँ? मुझे तो मेरी सोच अच्छी रखनी है और मुझे मेरी सोच के साथ चलना है. स्वाभाविक रूप से लोगों के जो मुद्दे हैं उस पर मैं लड़ रहा हूँ. और ऐसे 2-4 भाजपा के लोग बोलते हैं, उससे मुझे समझ में कुछ नहीं आता, क्योंकि मेरे दिमाग में तो सिर्फ जनता के अधिकार का केमिकल लोचा भरा हुआ है.
जब आप जनता के अधिकार की बात करते हैं हार्दिक भाई, क्या आपके मुद्दे आरक्षण तक ही सीमित हैं?
नहीं, आरक्षण का मुद्दा मेरी प्राथमिकता है. जिस समुदाय से मैं आता हूँ तो स्वाभाविक तौर पे वो मुद्दा मुझे रखना चाहिए. बड़ा मुद्दा किसानों की कर्जा माफी है. सौराष्ट्र के अंदर अगर देखा जाए तो जो चीज उत्पादित होती है उसके दाम नहीं मिल रहे. किसान आत्महत्या करता है. यूथ कॉलेज से निकलता है, MBBS मान लो कि डिग्री वगैरह कुछ करता है, तो ना उसके पास रोजगार है. वो व्यसन के मार्गों पर चला जाता है. ड्रग्स वगैरह मामला उसके लिए मायने रखता है, क्योंकि घर से उसके पापा ने इतनी मेहनत करके उसको इतना पढ़ाया लिखाया. लेकिन जब रोजगार की बात आती है तो भाजपा सरकार ना रोजगार दे सकी. रोजगार की जगह 25 लाख रुपए 30 लाख रुपए घूस ले, मतलब पैसे लिए जाते हैं, रिश्वत ली जाती है, तभी जॉब मिलेगी. तो ये सारे मामले भी है जो मेरे प्रमुख मुद्दे हैं.
आरक्षण के मुद्दे पर एक मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ कि प्राथमिक मुद्दा है कि ओबीसी की कैटेगरी में आपके समाज को जोड़ा जाए. इसमें आपको सरकारी एजुकेशन और जॉब में आरक्षण मिलेगी, लेकिन इनकी मात्रा कम है. अंत में अगर मुद्दा बेरोजगारी का है तो क्या ज़्यादा नौकरियां निजी क्षेत्र में नहीं है, प्राइवेट सेक्टर में नहीं है? अंत में आप कितने नौकरियों की बात कर रहे हैं?
देखो, निजी क्षेत्र की जहां तक आप बात करते हैं तो गुजरात में आज भी 70 लाख युवा बेरोजगार है जो शिक्षित है, मतलब वो पढ़ा लिखा आदमी जिसने ग्रेजुएशन किया। ऐसे 60 लाख से ज्यादा लोग बेरोजगार है। जिन लोगों ने 12th मतलब 12 पास की है, ऐसे 40 लाख युवा बेरोजगार है। इसका मतलब आप समझ सकते हो कि ना निजी रोजगार है, ना ही सरकारी रोजगार मिल रहा है। क्यों इन जनता को हमने बिठाया है कि जनता का जो मूल अधिकार होता है उस पर बात करनी चाहिए, नहीं कि 5 साल तक असेंबली में आपसी लड़ाई करते रहो।
अलग अलग जो विश्लेषक है, एक्सपर्ट है, चुनाव के बारे में जानते हैं, वो कहते हैं कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा हार्दिक पटेल का जो प्रभाव है वो 10 सीट पर पड़ सकता है। आपका क्या आकलन है?
नहीं, अच्छी बात है। मैं वही कह रहा हूँ, मैं दूसरों के मुद्दों को कभी नहीं ज्यादा उसकी बात करता, क्योंकि मुझे किसी का विरोध या किसी के मुद्दे पर ज्यादा बात करना पसंद नहीं आता। मुझे तो सिर्फ जनता क्या कहती है, जनता क्या करती है, जनता क्या समझती है, जनता क्या समझाना चाहती है, उसी मुद्दे के आधार पर और खास तौर पर मुद्दों की राजनीति मुझे पसंद है।
तो जनता का मूड क्या है इस वक्त हार्दिक भाई?
अब तो वो मैं 18 दिसंबर को ही पता चल सकता है।
आपके मुताबिक, आप लोगों के बीच में घूम रहे हैं, लोगों से बात कर रहे हैं, आपके मुताबिक क्या मूड है इस वक्त?
गुजरात की जनता कहती है, गुजरात की जनता खुश रहना चाहती है, गुजरात की जनता परिवर्तन देखना चाहती है और देश कहता है कि क्रांति आएगी, क्रांति आएगी। मैं कहता हूँ गुजरात में क्रांति आ गई।
क्या जो परेशानियां हैं इस वक्त गुजरात में, आप बेरोजगारी की बात कर रहे हैं, महंगी शिक्षा की बात कर रहे हैं, किसानों के दर्द की बात कर रहे हैं, क्या उसका एक विकल्प आपको कांग्रेस पार्टी में नजर आ रहा है? क्या उनकी तरफ से कोई ठोस प्लान नजर आ रहा है?
नहीं, गुजरात के अंदर 2 पार्टी है, कांग्रेस और भाजपा। भाजपा 25 सालों से सत्ता में है। अगर भाजपा कुछ नहीं करेगी तो स्वाभाविक रूप से लोग 25 सालों से जो विपक्ष में है उस पर विश्वास करना पसंद करेगी। किसी ने गुजरात मतलब भाजपा की जागीर नहीं है कि सिर्फ भाजपा ही सब कुछ करेगी, भाजपा नहीं करेगी तो क्या भाजपा कोई रखना? नहीं नहीं नहीं, ये गलत चीज है। अगर विपक्ष कुछ करती है, नहीं करती, लेकिन 25 सालों से विपक्ष में बैठी है तो स्वाभाविक रूप से लोग विपक्ष पर भरोसा करना पसंद करेंगे।
एक दो और आखिरी सवाल मैं आपसे पूछूंगी। अल्पेश ठाकुर नाम के जो लीडर हैं, ओबीसी लीडर हैं, उन्होंने कांग्रेस के साथ हाथ मिलाया है। क्या इस गठबंधन कहूं या इस पार्टी में अब अल्पेश ठाकुर और हार्दिक पटेल दोनों के लिए जगह है?
देखो, मैंने कहा स्पष्ट और दूसरी बार कह रहा हूँ, हार्दिक पटेल जनता के साथ रहना चाहता है और अगले 2.5 साल तक एक भी प्रकार का पॉलिटिकली करियर का आयोजन नहीं किया।
2.5 साल का क्यों आपने लिमिट रखा है?
अबे वो मुझे नहीं मालूम होगा तो किसको मालूम? पर 2.5 साल इसलिए क्योंकि मैं 24 साल का हूँ, 23 साल खत्म हुए, ना मैं चुनाव लड़ सकता हूँ, ना मैं पॉलिटिकल पार्टी में जाकर कुछ करना है। मुझे सिर्फ अभी जनता के मुद्दों को समझना है, गुजरात की पूरी राजनीति को समझना है।
तो आप ये सोचिए कि आप चुनाव नहीं लड़ सकते हैं आज, लेकिन चुनाव पर इन्फ्लुएंस की बात हो रही है, इस पर क्या कहेंगे?
जैसे जिसकी सोच।
ओके, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हार्दिक पटेल जी, ब्लूमबर्ग क्विंट से बात करने के लिए। the Supreme Court issues strict notices to cellular operators and banks to tell their consumers what the deadline is for linking Aadhaar with their services. That's happened today, of course. The debate refuses to die down. The government is quite clear that the deadlines will not be moved, and the opposition to linking Aadhaar with various services and schemes is also growing by the day. Remember, there's a clutch of such petitions pending in the Supreme Court. So today on Primetime Debate, we're speaking to two people who are on the opposite ends of this debate. In the studios, I'm joined by Saket Modi. He is co-founder and CEO of Lucidus Tech, who believes that the fears of your privacy being under threat because of use of Aadhaar is an overblown fear. On the other end, I have advocate at Madras High Court, Surit Parthasarthi, who just recently has ensured that his client can file her IT returns without linking her PAN to her Aadhaar. Thank you so much, both of you, for speaking with us on Primetime Debate this evening. Surit, I'll start with you. Just a word first to understand the context. On what grounds did the court allow your client to file her IT returns without linking it to Aadhaar?
So what had happened was through the Finance Act of 2017, the Income Tax Act was amended and a section 139AA was introduced. And as per this section, it necessitated that for any person who is an income tax assessee to file his or her return, he or she must quote his or her Aadhaar number as part of the income tax return. And it also necessitated a linking between your PAN, that is your permanent account number, and your Aadhaar number. So this section, that is section 139A, was challenged in the Supreme Court by Binoy Vishwam. And the Supreme Court actually upheld this section, the constitutionality of the section, however, subject to certain caveats. One of the caveats was that it would be subject to the larger challenge that is presently pending before the Supreme Court, where various issues, including issues with respect to right to privacy and other issues with respect to our right to bodily integrity, etc., continue to remain at large. And the other caveat that the Supreme Court added was that the second proviso to this 139A would stand stayed pending a final adjudication by the Supreme Court on the larger issue. So the second proviso essentially said that when your PAN is not linked to your Aadhaar, then your PAN would stand invalidated. This was by and large the crux of and the essence of the second proviso, and the Supreme Court stayed this. Now, what the CBDT, that is the Central Board of Direct Taxes, and the Union of India did was, it interpreted this grant of a partial stay as a grant of a stay only with respect to your linking of PAN to your Aadhaar, and said that nonetheless, for filing your income tax returns, that is after July 1st, you had to necessarily quote your Aadhaar number, or at the least your enrollment ID, which is the proof that you've applied for your for an Aadhaar number. Now, what happens is that if you essentially say that your Aadhaar would necessarily have to be quoted as part of your income tax returns, then the grant of a partial stay by the Supreme Court essentially becomes otiose. It becomes futile. So that was the crux of my argument before the Madras High Court. And the court, at least prima facie, was of the belief that people should at least be allowed to file their returns, albeit manually, without quoting their Aadhaar, until the Supreme Court takes a larger stand on the validity of the Aadhaar Act as a whole.
You know, I'm just going to move away a bit from the legal details, Surit, and just very briefly, if you could tell us about your basic premise or your basic views on Aadhaar being made mandatory to a host of services. Why the reluctance or why the objection?
Yeah, see, so I think let's begin with how Aadhaar was originally envisaged and how it was originally conceived. It was originally conceived as a measure that was meant to aid in provision of subsidies in order to check identities, in order to ensure that subsidies and benefits go to the right people. Now, slowly we started seeing this sort of creeping kind of extension of the Aadhaar scheme to various other provisions. And when this was originally challenged in the Supreme Court clarified that this has to necessarily be made voluntary, and it can only be mandatory for certain schemes which are very minimal in nature. But nonetheless, the government continued to violate these interim orders that were granted by the Supreme Court. And ultimately, in 2016, it brought about this legislation, which was the Aadhaar Act. And what it did was it introduced this Aadhaar Act as a money bill. Now, which is, I think, in itself a serious problem, because a money bill, which is defined in the Constitution in Article 110, is only with respect to certain legislation which concern either the provision of a tax or taking away funds from the consolidated fund and so forth. And anything which is any legislation which has benefits or which has any provisions which are not even incidental to those features contained in Article 110, they can't be introduced as a money bill. But I think the government is very clever in introducing this as a money bill.
All right. So two things you mentioned there. It's mandatory. It shouldn't be. It was introduced as a money bill. You're challenging that. And the third premise, I'm assuming, is the privacy issue.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop you there. Okay, I'm going to stop you there, Surit, because I also have with me Saket Modi, who has very specific views and perhaps I would say polar opposite views on the privacy issue. And Saket, you argue that the privacy issue is overblown. Why?
Tamanna, I'll give you the background around the problem, I believe, that is being perceived by the word linkage to your Aadhaar with any service that you would talk about. Let's start about the PAN card that we were speaking about. Fundamentally, what the Income Tax Department wants is, you, when you're claiming I'm Tamanna while filing your taxes, are really Tamanna or not. That's all that the income tax wants to know about. In order to know that, a very simple mechanism is you ask the Aadhaar number of Tamanna and her first name and her last name. If the first name, last name matches with the Aadhaar card number, then it's absolutely the right person that you're claiming yourself to be. That's all that Aadhaar linkage is all about.
PAN was doing that.
PAN was not enough to do that, and that was the reason why there were so many fraudulent PAN cards which were being linked. And that, think of it, 99%.
There are Aadhaar cards with glitches.
Yes, and the amount of glitches is far lesser because of the biometric database that we are talking about. You have for the first time an identity that has been given to 1.1 billion people, which has never been the case, be it the PAN card or the passport or any other identity that you talk about. And the beauty of Aadhaar is it's API driven. So when you talk about your bank account, for example, when you talk about your driving license, your telco that you would talk about, when you take a SIM card, all that a Reliance Jio or a Vodafone want to know is, you are genuinely Tamanna or you are not Tamanna. How do you find that out? When you give your fingerprint and your Aadhaar card number, you can't fake that as a, you can't fake that. Technically, that can also be faked. We'll come to that later if you want to talk about it. But in general, for a normal person who would want to open a SIM card, he would not be able to link or say that, look, I am Tamanna, and open a SIM card.
I have a number of counters to that, but I'm going to allow the lawyer on the panel to come in with his point of view. So, Surit, the sum and substance of that argument is that Aadhaar is more reliable and no one can fake a biometric. So, fake identities are reduced.
I think firstly, there's a fundamental problem with saying that the government has a right to collect our biometric information from us. And I think at that very level, there's a violation of our bodily integrity. And I think that's the core problem with Aadhaar, right? It essentially treats all of us, assumes all of us to be criminals. And it assumes all of us to be guilty before there's even a sort of a finding of any sort of guilt. And it kind of breeds a surveillance state. And let's face it, they're taking our iris scan, our fingerprints, and all of this for what essential purpose, which is to apparently confirm our identities. But we've already seen the number of glitches, the number of leakages that the system has produced, and I don't think it's proved anywhere near foolproof. And the moment we don't have a foolproof system, it becomes all the more problematic because these are our core information which is at large. And if we look at the Aadhaar Act, the kind of purposes for which it can be, the Aadhaar number can be shared with private entities. If you look at Section 57, for example, it essentially states that the Aadhaar number can be used for establishing the identity of an individual for any purpose by any private entity virtually, which is, I think, it's to put it simply, it's quite scary. And to envisage that your private data, your biometric information would be at the behest or would be in control of these private entities. And the other fundamental problem with the scheme is that this is a scheme that is built on coercion. It is built on a premise which states that unless you supply this information to us, we will not provide you these services, whether it's governmental services, whether it's
I'll come to those 2 points one by one.
One by one, all the points. The first point that he mentioned is, government assumes that you are a criminal because it's taking your biometrics. When you land in any new country, be it the Middle East, be it the United States of America or the United Kingdom, the first thing that you give is your biometrics. I don't see you complaining and saying, oh, we're not criminals and why are you taking our biometrics?
What about? What about is your argument, Saket?
What about means what? I mean, you've been giving your fingerprints forever for identification when you make your passport.
A lot of Indians who don't go abroad.
Yes, but they've never had a problem in giving. You're not saying I'm a criminal if I'm making my passport while giving my fingerprint. So this argument saying that because it's taking my fingerprints, it's assuming that I'm a criminal, absolutely doesn't hold true. Second, we've seen too many Aadhaar leakages, is what my friend says. Till date, not a single biometric data has been leaked from the Aadhaar database ever. It's because of the beauty that Aadhaar database is an open API-based system where anybody can probe all Aadhaar is all about. Let me simplify this again and reiterate this. All it's all about is give the fingerprint and Aadhaar number and it gets back to you saying, yes, this is the genuine guy who he's claiming to be. That's all Aadhaar is all about. Now, here's the point. That database has never been hacked. Now the power of the database is anybody can probe into it. Now, Surit made the last point that he made, I'm scared that so many private companies would have an access to it. No, Reliance Jio, Vodafone, or anybody already had your KYC details. It only made your life simpler, where you don't have to reproduce the same documents which were easily forgeable. Simply today, thanks to technology, where you can just go and give your fingerprint and Aadhaar number, and the same KYC detail, which Aadhaar already has, provides that to Reliance Jio. As a result, we've seen 300 million, 200 to 300 million, subscribers in Jio only in the last 6 to 12 months, which was never possible in the past.
Let me take that to Surit. What can you articulate clearly? What is the fear?
Yeah, and
what is the fear,
that.
Surit? Because if someone gets hold of your biometrics today, it seems very far-fetched that they could be, forged or faked or your identity stolen. Is the fear real?
Yeah, let me answer that at two levels. And before I answer that, let me also just quickly respond to the issue with respect to visiting foreign countries and why we submit our fingerprints there. I think fundamentally there's a difference here because that is one based out of consent. And we travel to foreign countries, consenting to travel to those countries, we get those visas and therefore we submit ourselves to that jurisdiction, which is very different from existing as a citizen in our own countries. So I think if you're going to a collection of your fingerprints and your biometric ID as a essential condition for citizenship, then it's problematic. We've seen this in other countries. We've seen that it's failed. The United States, people often refer to the Social Security ID as being similar to Aadhaar, but it very pointedly doesn't collect your biometric information.
I have limited time, so Surit, if you can just make that point about privacy fears.
Yeah, the privacy fears, let's see. Your biometric information being collected, I think it's at two levels. One is the access that private companies have to your biometric information and the links that it can have to various different kinds of data. If your consumer habits are going to be linked to your Aadhaar, for example, and the extent to which that can be shared between these entities, that certainly puts a certain element of fear in our minds, and it could cause it could really wreak havoc. And the other thing is, if these governmental establishments are going to share your Aadhaar information between these various different entities, once again, there's a question of to what extent this is going to breed a surveillance state. And ultimately, the foundations of Aadhaar is that it's moved from being a measure that was meant to provide subsidies and benefits to one that is going to help breed surveillance.
Just last quick question, Saket, you're a techie. Basic question, can your biometrics or at least your fingerprints not be forged, replicated, misused? It's not possible at all, you're saying?
Of course it is possible, and I myself told you that there is a possibility of doing that, but it's like asking, can your signature be forged? Of course it can be forged, but there's a degree of
which is why I don't display it everywhere.
Exactly, and the good part here is when you give a check to your banker, there's a very high probability that he can take your check, take a picture of your signature, write it on a different check and print on that and do that, you process a complete transaction automatically, but that doesn't happen. Why? Or there does happen a lot of bank frauds, but there's a degree of acceptance in terms of till date. not a single biometric hack when you talk about being forged as a fingerprint has happened, and see the amount of transactions and the authentications that Aadhaar is doing today. And this is, I would say, as an Indian, I can tell you after looking at technologies globally of Fortune 50 companies, this is something that one of the most phenomenal technologies that a government has ever come out with in the history of mankind, what I can say. And I mean it why I'm saying this. For the first time, you can authenticate in a couple of packets, which was never possible in the past. And I don't see a privacy concern out there at all, to be honest.
Okay, so this is a debate which is going to continue. It is, of course, being debated hotly in living rooms as people meet, and of course in the courts right now. But we're going to have to leave it at that. Thank you so much, Surit and Saket, for coming in and sharing your views on the Aadhaar debate. That's all the time we have on Primetime Debate this evening.